that's what I think we're missing on this planet is love for ourselves, love for our families, and love for each other as a community, as a whole. Giving each other that grace and those moments where you're not shining so bright, but I'm going to remember your greatness. You're not shining so bright right now, and you're kind of being a jerk, but I'm going to remember the good things about you.
Hey there, Mama. Welcome to another episode of Mom Does It All. I'm Marta Spurk, your host, health coach, triplet mom, and all things motivation extraordinaire. Today, I'm going to be talking with Heather Criswell. She's an author and a motivational speaker, and she'll be telling us all about love, because that's what all she is about. How to see love in every situation, how to parent and mother from a place of love, and really find greatness in everyone so that we can act from a place of love. So let's get right to it. Hi, Heather. I'm so excited to talk to you today.
Thank you so much for having me. I so love that you are doing this and sharing love in the world in your own way. So thank you for inviting me on to your space too. I appreciate it.
Of course. I'm so excited for our chat. So I just wanted to start off by talking about one of your live videos that I watched recently that really caught my attention. And you were talking about not worrying so much about your son. He was going to go to off to camp, and deciding to, instead of worry, which is super normal for a mom anyways, to wrap him in love and root for love. Can you kind of explain in more detail what that means and where your emphasis on love has come from?
Absolutely. I dropped him off. He's at a day camp, so it's not overnight. Let me be clear, because I'm not there yet. But I dropped him off, and it was a lot of children, like 140 kids, and they were just everywhere. And he went off to the side. It was in a big gymnasium. He went off to the side and he just stood against the wall. And I could feel his angst. I could feel he was nervous and anxious and sad a little bit. Like, I don't know where to go. I don't know where I fit in. All of those things that we tell ourselves in those moments, right? So it then triggered in me, oh my gosh, I was the girl that was never picked. I was the girl that nobody wanted to play with. All of those things came up for me. Mm-hmm. And in a moment, I was like, I need to go over there and help him. I need to make sure that, I take care of this for him and fix it for him and let him know that everybody loves him and it's all good. And there was a moment where all I heard in my intuition, in my spirit, in my life was just wrap him in love. And so I did, and I was hiding behind a wall so he couldn't see me, but he happened to glimpse my shoulder, and he peeked around and waved at me and blew a kiss. Aww. And I waved at him and I blew a kiss back. And then he ran off to a teacher and hugged her and got into the groove, right? Mm-hmm. And I had this moment for myself where I realized, like, I can sit here and worry. I can create stories that he's going to have problems later on in life because of this.
Right.
I can do all of that, or I can wrap him in love and set aside my own sadness and my own experience with it, because this is different. He is different.
Right.
He's on a different journey. And literally just energetically put a blanket of love around him. And I believe when I did that, that's when he saw me and was able to blow a kiss and move on and know that he's loved, right? Mm-hmm. So we send energetic vibes out in the planet.
Right.
Just by being. And you can have that experience when you walk into a room and you feel like, oh my gosh, like you're all happy and everybody's upset, but nobody says a word. Right. And you can feel that energy.
Yes.
When we send that energy out of wrapping you in love, then he can know that I'm loved in this experience. I will make it through it. I will be okay. Let me find somebody that I can support myself with. Right.
Right.
And at least that's the story I told myself. So I felt better.
Well, and with everything that you're telling me, I'm just imagining my kids and myself going through this with my kids since they're so young. How old is your son, by the way?
7. He's 7.
Okay. So I would still have a ways to go. And just imagining, going through that and projecting my fears, my insecurities onto them and being like, oh, I hope this doesn't happen. I hope this doesn't happen. Oh my God. Oh my God. And then creating a situation that hasn't even happened yet, right? Which is
Right.
what moms do most of the times, is worrying about something that hasn't happened because of your own fears and insecurities. So I love that focus on love and projecting this different kind of energy. I love that.
Yeah. And it's also not to, put ourselves in a space of, because I have a hard time sometimes with that I'm doing something to him, because I have enough guilt on my own. Like, I don't need any more that I do to this child for real. So what I kind of reframe it as is he's giving me a trigger to some things that are still brewing in me and that are being healed. Yes. And I'm grateful for that healing, because he did offer me that space to say, you know what? Reevaluate what I went through. Yeah, I went through those moments, but it made me who I am. Mm-hmm. So as I am good, he will be well as well, right? And to kind of reframe it in that space so that I'm not doing something to him, but that we are experiencing this co-creation of remembering love for ourselves, right?
Yeah, it doesn't mean that what you went through is what they're going to go through. And even if they go through it, you're there and you can help them through it. And it's exactly. I love your outlook on that. So tell me where all of this has come from, because you're all about love. And this is the direction that I've been going with now that my kids are growing, and I'm noticing, okay, hold on. I need to change my attitude. I need to change my thinking. And I've always been a really positive person, but there's something about motherhood that challenges all your beliefs, your values, everything you've ever known, right?
Yeah, it pushes me to the end, right? Like, it pushes me right to the edge of the cliff where I'm like, all right, you either fly or you fall and die.
Pretty much.
That's your choice. So yeah, again, my experience has come back when, as a child, I was bullied for all my life, literally, for being fat. And that's just the truth of how it was. I was bullied over and over again, and every single day. And I realized very quickly that I had to start remembering love for myself in those moments. And my mom, in all her glory and all of her beauty, one night when I was crying about it, came into my room and she said, I'm going to tell you something. I said to the kid said, you're too fat, you're too ugly, nobody's ever going to love you, you're stupid, the whole 9 yards. And my mom said, I'm going to tell you something, they're wrong. And you are a miracle on this planet. I wasn't supposed to be able to have babies. I had you. She had cervical cancer and part of her cervix removed. So they said, you'll never be able to have children. She did. I was 2 weeks late, 10 pounds, 4 ounces. So I came into this world. I was bullied a lot, and I had to really remember love for myself. And as time goes on, that's what I think we're missing on this planet, is love for ourselves, love for our families, and love for each other as a community as a whole. Giving each other that grace and those moments where you're not shining so bright, but I'm going to remember your greatness. You're not shining so bright right now, and you're kind of being a jerk, but I'm going to remember the good things about you. And if I don't know you, if you're just some random person on the street that has cut me off in traffic, mm-hmm. I'm going to give you a pass today, because I don't know what your story is.
Yes.
I don't know what you're doing. I don't know, when we cut people off, when my husband was driving, my mom had a cardiac arrest, and we were on our way to the hospital.
Wow.
And so we were blowing lights, to get her help. So I don't know. And again, it could be just a story, but I'll tell you, the story feels better that I don't know your story than you're a jerk. You're just rude. You're just confirmation that everything is wrong in this world. Mm-hmm. That story doesn't feel good to me. It doesn't build me up. It doesn't make me feel better. It doesn't, confirm that humanity is good, Yeah. So,
and it's something that some of us, I don't want to say all of us, maybe most of us know, but it's just really hard to get into the habit of defaulting to the positive and to love. It's like we're, programmed to go the other way and just be mad at everybody and everything and think that the world is out to get us. And when really we don't know what they're going through, and we shouldn't take things personally anyways, because it's almost like we always feel like we're the center of attention. Everyone is trying out to get us, right?
Right.
And that's not it at all. Everyone's dealing with their own stuff, especially when you become parents.
Yeah. And there's moments when I'm angry, like when he cuts me off, I'm not like, oh, I'm just going to send you light and love. And no, I don't know your story. There's a moment when he cuts me off where I'm like, oh my God, why? Why would you do this? And yet I have a moment where I can change that at any given moment, any given chance that I can say, how can I see love in this? How can I see love in this? And remind myself of that space, because for me to be, Pollyanna about it and just be like, I love everybody.
Right.
It's challenging. I mean, even with my own kid, there are moments where I'm like, oh my gosh,
Right. I feel that when you try to, talk about love and how we should try to be positive in situations, some people might think, so what? I'm just going to be happy every day, all day long. No, it's just a matter of choices, right?
Yes.
What you're going to choose. And we talked about this before. When you tell me I choose to see this situation through love, it reminds me a lot of the book that I've been reading, The Universe Has Your Back, with Gabby Bernstein. And because that's so true. And it seems like something so difficult. It really is very simple, but it again goes back to it being a choice, right?
Exactly. And I think when we frame it in, we have to be positive, or we have to be kind, or we have to be nice, it kind of discounts how we're feeling in the moment, where I can say to myself, I'm really angry about this guy cutting me off, but I'm going to choose something different, because that anger is not helping the situation. It's not serving me. No. It's not going to change him.
No.
It's just going to make life worse. So I can choose to have love for myself in this moment by making a choice of, I'm going to give you a pass. And that doesn't say that it's okay. That doesn't say that, what you've done is not kind or kind. It just simply says, I'm giving you a pass. That's it. And now it releases him, it releases me energetically from that hold of anger. Because now I don't carry that anger to my house when I come in the door, and with my husband and with my kids and with my business and with life, right?
Mm-hmm. Definitely. And when you talk about coming from a place of love, your focus is usually on parenting, right? And how you deal with kids. And I remember when I asked you, what kind of free resources do you have? I want to get to know your work more. You talked to me about a love bundle. What is this love bundle, and why did you decide to call it that?
Well, the love bundle is just simply a kind of package of a sample of everything that I do. I have the first chapters in both of my books on there. I have a I Believe I Am poster that I posted when I had my preschool, and the kids could recite and remember who they are on this planet, that they're light and love. And also an ebook that helps parents move from conflict to connection, that compassionate, and it offers scripts too, so that it kind of guides you through that space. And certainly not to replace your own voice. But if you grew up in an abusive family, it's really hard to get to a space where I'm like, I have the words that have never been spoken to me. Right? So, the scripts are there to offer that guidance and to really help you reconnect back into, what do I want to say in this moment? And how can I guide it in this way that I can create some communication and connection from this conflict that we're having in this moment. Mm-hmm. Because that's the journey, right? And I think that our kids give us the biggest practice on the planet.
Oh, yeah.
To communicate.
Because it's such a challenge that we're just forced to learn.
Yes. And we can't quit them. You could quit them, but most people don't quit their children.
Exactly.
So we don't divorce them. We don't separate from them.
Right. It's a different relationship.
They keep us going.
Yeah, they keep us going, and they make us definitely better people. And still talking about the parenting and the whole motherhood, because when trying to raise a child from this place of love, how does that make navigating motherhood easier, I should say, or better? What is the difference that you feel like that when people go through the guidance that you provide, where moms go through the guidance that you provide, what is the difference in terms of, I guess you've kind of talked about communication, it improves the communication. But what are some of the other things that coming from a place of love can do to you as a mom?
Well, there's a couple of different frameworks that we have created, especially in our book, How to Raise a Happy Child and Be Happy Too, with the emphasis on be happy too, because, our kids can be happy, but we need to be happy as well.
Right.
And we have like 5 different kind of foundations, if you will, and it's about the energy you bring to it. There's a couple of different things, honor your feelings, but most importantly is to remember their greatness. And I think that the biggest challenge that we are faced with as parents is when our kids act out or misbehave or do something in public that's embarrassing to me. I automatically go, oh my gosh, like I can't believe them. They do this all the time. Like every single time we come into the store, you act this way. And, it's like a fool. Come on, stop doing this. Or whatever the circumstance is. And the reframe to that is, how can I remember their greatness? And when we do that, then we start mothering from a space of love instantly. So when I hold you, I do that with friends too, with my husband. When my husband comes home and is not in his best of moods, and I'm like, I want to go to dinner. I don't want to go to dinner. I just want to stay home. And I'm, okay.
No one's gone through that.
Yes, exactly. I don't want to cook. So he comes home and we are in this space. I instantly, in that moment, when I have that feeling of rage, frustration, disappointment, I remember, I go, you know what? He's a really great guy. Just yesterday, my Victoria's Secret's bra broke. And I was like, I don't have the receipt. This is going to be a nightmare. He goes down to Victoria's Secret's while I'm at church and he talks to the manager and they get a brand new bra for me for free. That's who he is.
Aww.
Not the guy that walks through the door.
Right.
Not being the kindest person in that moment. That's just a moment for him. But the truth of who he is a really great guy. So what I do is take little nuggets, like that Victoria's Secret one will be in the top of my head now, because he's going to act a fool when he walks through the door more times than not, right?
Oh, yeah.
And so I have to instantly go to that space. And the same thing for our children. When, this morning, my son got mad because he couldn't take a toy to his camp. And he slams the door when he gets out and he says, "You are pressing your luck, lady."
Oh my gosh.
And I just looked and I was like, remember the love, remember the love, remember the love. And he says, I've had about enough of this. And I just looked at him and I said, I know you. This is not who you are. This is not who you are. And I love you. You know better than to have a conversation with me in that space, because it's not going to work for you. You're not going to get the toy. And in fact, your toy will probably go in the trash. So, let's rethink this and have a different dialogue. And he's like, okay, mommy. And, and went on about his way. Now, I could have taken that as a disrespectful moment. I could have taken it as this is a time to discipline and punish. And everybody has that choice. In that moment, for me, I had the choice that I said, you know what? This isn't who he is. He's frustrated. He's tired. He's a little bit anxiety because it's Monday again with a new environment again. So, it's kind of taking into account everything that has taken place and holding that space of love. Doesn't mean that he's allowed to treat me disrespectfully or rude. But I also know that that's not who he is.
Right.
So something else is going on. And we'll have a conversation tonight when we go to bed and we have our little chat about the day. We will talk about that. And I will say, was that the best way to communicate with mom? Does that work for you? Did it work? Did you get to keep your toy? And have those conversations when we're out of the heat of the moment.
Right.
And actually get some movement and momentum in, remembering who you are.
Right.
Because I never want to hold him in the space of he is a bad kid. Because I don't want to be held in the space that I'm a bad mom, that I'm a bad person, that I'm a bad wife.
I love that.
I don't want to be held in that space because that's not truly who I am.
Right.
I make decisions that are not the best often.
Right. We all do.
But,
and I love this because we were talking about, starting with the guy that cut me off in traffic. I don't know what he's going through, and kind of like letting that go. And now at home, I know these people. I know my kids. I know my husband, right? And so this is a different perspective. You're still choosing love, but you're thinking about their greatness and how great of people they are, and remembering that instead of the ugly. I absolutely love that. I'm going to start implementing.
Just every time you get like a little nugget of something great that they do, put it in that, little space in your brain that you can access it instantly.
And what are some tips or exercises that you can give moms for when they're going through those tough times and they want to remember to try to see that differently, or, see it through love and see from a place of peace?
Yeah, absolutely. The one thing that I do use a lot, well, two, we've already talked about remembering their greatness.
Right.
But in that space is, I call it a pass. And I got this because I was in line at a post office and the postal worker was seriously a hostile postal worker for real. And he was very upset and very angry and really rude to all the customers. And I was like, oh, I just don't want to deal with this guy. And my son was just running amok, and it was just a nightmare waiting to happen. And I'd said to myself, I'm going to give him a pass. And in my mind, what that did is it released the connection that we had of anger, right? It doesn't mean that what he was doing was okay. It doesn't mean that I accepted it. It just means I'm giving you a pass. And so with that, the interesting thing that happened was when I got up to his line, he was the nicest guy ever, for real, like no lie. Wow. And so I think energetically, when we give each other those passes, especially our children, but our children, again, are just practice for us in the real world, right? So when we give somebody a pass and say, okay, that's not who you are. I know that. And I'm going to give you a pass. It doesn't mean it's okay, but I'm going to release myself from this anger so I don't carry it through for the rest of the day. So it doesn't ruin me for the rest of the day. It's self-preservation, really, quite frankly.
Oh, yeah. I love that. So yeah, remembering the greatness and then doing that. And that could be for people that you don't know either.
Absolutely.
Which is what we talked about earlier.
Yeah. It's like the guy that cut you off. I don't know his story. And it's really, quite frankly, none of my business, but I can give you a pass. And again, that doesn't discount what you've done. It simply releases me from the energetic hold of anger with you.
Yes, that makes a lot of sense.
It's huge, huge. Just test it out and see. I mean, it's easier oftentimes outside of our children because it's somebody cutting you off, right? But with our kids, to really look at them and say, this isn't who you are. I don't know what's going on with you. Maybe you're hungry, maybe you're thirsty, maybe you're tired. I don't know.
Right.
I'm going to see the greatness in you, and we're going to move forward in this space. Because how often do we carry that anger throughout the rest of the day, which is, get in the car. Come on. You're moving too slow. Quit doing that. Stop touching your sister.
And giving you that time, giving yourself that time to just relax, breathe, and not let yourself get worked up over that.
Yes.
I love those tips. That's awesome. And so we can find some of these resources, just like the Love Bundle that I talked about, on your website. What are some different ways to connect with you?
Well, I am on, of course, my website is wiseinside.com.
Okay.
I am on Facebook as well as Heather Criswell, and also on Instagram now as Heather Criswell.
Nice.
So, I've actually switched over from Wise Inside to Heather Criswell. So there's a lot of, if you type in Wise Inside, you can find me anywhere because there's really not a lot of Wise Inside.
Right. Oh, and I love that name too. That's wonderful. Well, thank you so much for joining us. This was just so insightful and so great. And just your energy and all the positivity and everything. I love it.
Thank you so much. I so appreciate what you're doing too, to help mamas and people in business feel better and do better and have a really great experience. So thank you for doing what you do.
Oh, thank you so much. I hope you enjoyed our chat and felt more empowered to pay closer attention to your reaction when people don't treat you how you expected. It's so possible to always come from a place of love. And don't forget to connect with Heather on Facebook and through our Mom Does It All community. And if you haven't already, please leave me a quick review on iTunes. It'll mean the world to me. And I'll talk to you next week. Bye.